members of this board have the authority to have this board's position on matters recorded in the minutes? Secondly, are the members of this board given authority to exercise discretion in regards to having or not having a code of conduct prior to today? Or put in other words, dear Mr. Townsend, do you agree that a government cannot bind their successors in regards to the current Motueka Community Board and a code of conduct? Or in other words again, does Tasman District Council believe they are above the law simply by not providing the current board with the discretion in regards to a code of conduct as set out in the LGA? As far as I understand the Local Government Act, there are various duties distributed across various roles within council. One is to the CEO as being the main policy advisor to council to make sure that all policies in council are correctly implemented. As far as I understand, the current board intends to implement a code moving forward. It appears highly inappropriate, in my opinion, that in that context, to try and retrospectively approve or endorse a code they have clearly not endorsed at any time in the past. In addition, given the complaint investigation against one of your members last year and the concerns brought forward since July 2023, which relate also to this problem of not currently being subject to a policy, it is unacceptable to make 5 out of 7 members around this table, excluding the 3 of you, of course, subject to a serious conflict of interest. 3, because of their direct involvement in the case, and a further 2, because they had to vote on a council resolution on the matter. I fail to see how asking the board to vote on the options presented with the report could possibly be in line with council policy around conflict of interest. And in closing, I would like to say the following. If the board wants to vote on adopting a code, they should be free to do exactly that and nothing else that is appearing in between the matters on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Look to table your speaking rights. Is there any quick clarifications, questions from? No. Thank you. Mr. Schaffner, Matthias.
Hello, I would like to talk about an item in the chair's report, that there is the idea to change the frequency of this meeting to have community board meetings only every 6 weeks or even only 2 months. I'm against this proposed change because having this meeting every month is, in my opinion, very important for this community. We have a lot of people here in the room every time, more than in any other council meeting. We always have a number of speakers here in the public forum, more than in any other council meeting. The topics that are brought into the meeting from the public are often interesting, diverse, relevant, and very often, and they are often addressing as a real issue for the community that needs to be fixed. Having meetings less frequent would effectively mean to reduce the speaking time in the public forum when people cannot speak 5 minutes every month, but only 5 minutes every second month. The alternative, of course, is to send emails, and we already have the correspondence list attached to the agenda, but there we can only read the topics, and it's not clear what the content of such an email is. And if I make a Legoima request to get the content of these emails, then the chief executive would probably not be happy, or the Legoima team tells me this would be kind of frivolous or vexatious. And I think having this meeting not every month, but less frequent, does not mean that there will be less topics to discuss. So the overall effort seems exactly the same, but instead of every month having a bit of effort to prepare the meeting, then we will have double the effort every second month. So it's not a good argument for me. But the most serious point for me is the reason that was provided in the chair's report. It's written, the Democracy Services team is currently seriously under-resourced to support boards, council, and committees. To be honest, for me, such an argument is unacceptable because it's clearly the responsibility of the chief executive to manage her staff. It is her job, and she gets paid quite a lot for doing exactly this, manage staff. And I don't think it's justified that the community board should be effective when the chief executive has some internal problems. It's her responsibility, it's her job. And it was always clear how much resources this board needs every year. There's an agreement, there are standing orders, terms of reference, it was clear from the beginning. It's not the case that resources increased over time over the last few weeks or months. At least to me, it seems it's the same last year, the year before, so I cannot understand this point. And yes, I acknowledge the legal and democracy team has probably a lot of work to do at the moment. Ombudsman investigation, issues with the airport, complaints about privacy breaches, Waimea Dam, and yeah, we had some rain last week. Maybe we see more cars on Peach Island, who knows? But it seems that a lot of these topics are on the table right now because of past actions of staff, and that there are now a lot of these issues to be dealt with. I think it's just a consequence of, for lack of a better word, for its mismanagement within council. I mean, the best example is that Mr. Townsend is now here today for the second time, and it's not criticizing, it's just a matter of fact. That board members were not satisfied with his report last time. Or another example is that in the last meeting, Madam Chair mentioned an email that board members received shortly before the meeting about the code of conduct. And on the same day, I made a Legoimark request to see this email. Yesterday afternoon, 4 weeks later, I got a response, but still not the email. But the Legoima team asked me to pay $456 because it would be 6 hours of work for them. Because they said in 2 days alone, there were 83 emails with you, Madam Chair, only about the code of conduct. In 2 days, 83 emails. I find this number a bit unreasonable, for lack of a better word. And last but not least, I had a phone call with Mr. Townsend last week. Maybe he remembers. I asked a simple question: which elected members can I still contact without interference from staff? But instead of giving me the information, Mr. Townsend hung up the phone. And just a question, was it also because you and your team, Mr. Townsend, you were too busy and cannot have a 5-minute phone call, or was there another reason? Thank you very much. Yep.
Mr. Winston.
The Lady Chair and members of the Community Board and members of the public. Just to follow up on an inquiry I made in the public forum of the 17th of April meeting as to, in the event of a power outage, is it intended for the new Parker Street water treatment plant to have a standby generator? Number 2, I was approached by a neighbour over this past weekend following our torrential rain weather to be advised that several neighbours are minded to lodge with our Tasman District Council a recommendation that the Twin Oaks located in Parker Street should be severely topped or removed completely. The mess from their leaves is blocking guttering and downpipes and causing flooding. Being protected trees, they are anxious to approach the correct person in the council. So I will be most grateful to determine this information and advise my neighbour. It should be noted that each neighbour affected is approaching 70 years of age and ladders are a risk. And number 3, on passing through the roundabout on King Edward Street, High Street intersection, on the High Street, travelling out of town, the first inspection plate surround is very rough and requires a tar sealing repair, please. Thank you, Lady Chair.
Thank you. Anything from the board? No. And so just as I mentioned before the meeting, we've got those questions out there, so hopefully get back to you on those points.
Thank you very much. Right.
Mr. Forey.
I'm sitting this way because it's a bit like driving a car and you're driving the rearview mirror, you're not going to get it real fast. So I attended the Wednesday meeting where we had the briefing from council on the 10-year plan, and one of the ideas that came up, which have been previously raised, was the question of how we can reduce the hardship that many are going to suffer in terms of energy hardship provisions. You know, we know all about how our money is buying less these days because of inflation. This document is a real hard sell because there's a lot of cost cutting in it, and it's a 10-year plan, of course. So it just happened to come up that the Empower Energy Group, it's a charitable trust that's fully it's constituted, and governance can go through that approach. Is that right in this building, of course, we've got a solar power plant, of which there is a fair amount of solar excess credits. And what the Empower Energy Group have done, Hayley, can we go to the next one? Thanks. So it's an app. Of course, everything's done by apps these days. If you're not appy, then you're not going to get anywhere. So the app does it's a mission to end power distribution. And so there's been a startup of $12,500 has been the first tranche that's actually gone to date through Empower. That's via Orion Energy. And if you look at the background of the company, it's constituted. I have no financial interest at all in any way, shape, or form. Just seems to be a really good concept to see whether the council can either do it in-house and manage the excess from here and then create what Empower have already done. And if their people apply to get energy credits, it becomes a bit of a loop. And I think there are a lot more things that council probably might want to do when you've already got something like this that can happen. So if we go up the next screen, the universal donation platform allows any person, whānau, business to donate through their power bill or Stripe, so it can go into a central area. The recipients are identified through the care agencies in the communities that they work with. So this is not just one-offs. It can be through a whānau association. It can be through any number of constituted caregiver groups. And the recipients identified through those agencies. Plus, there's an opportunity to donate power generated by solar panels to make an impact on carbon emissions too. So that's the platform, and that's the partnerships that are involved with it. We're looking at, Main Power, Meridian, Orion Energy. These are major energy groups that have associated with it. And Ariake, which is the energy distribution partners, are further down. We'll see Christchurch City Mission and FinCap are involved in this. So the pilot's working. Now the question is it an option for the likes of TDC to look at that? Because the cell I'm talking about is a good feel factor, is that given that what happened in the roof years comes from the Lotto Commission, it'd be very good to see the give back to the community in real hard case terms of satisfying energy hardship. There will be energy hardship out there. The question is, how are we going to deal with it? So I'll go back to my screen now. This particular PDF is available on the website. And if we go through to the screen 2, so the energy hardship, the way it is, disconnection notices are out there. It's not something we hear about, it just happens, and people are put in real strife. So energy hardship has immense health, social, economic, and educational impacts for hundreds of thousands of New Zealanders. And if we bring it down to our own area, the same ratios apply. On the next screen, we'll see that distribution networks have been set up and the retailers are able to do this. So where the Network Tasman can be approached to do that, on the scale of which the TDC can do it, that door is open. And it's an in-house peer-to-peer donation network, all controlled. On the next level, we're looking at the power of partnerships. The donors are into the central app, and then the retailers can contribute back into it. The recipients get paid out from Empower Energy. So it's a platform that doesn't involve a lot of council time per se, but given that the due diligence will be done under the governance model, is it fit for purpose, and can TDC attach their solar credits to that? One more screen. So that's where the model comes in. I've got solar credits and I've applied to be a solar donor. So it's fairly early days for me. I haven't got the reply back, but the platform is there. Question is it something that the council can look at alongside of trying to do it on your own and set up an empowerment network? That's me. Thank you.
Thank you. Just got a question from
Yes.
the please.
How many, do you have any idea of how many people could be affected by disconnection notices, that sort of thing? You know, how many people do we think could be seriously affected by?
Households. Yes, well, if you hear the disconnection notices in 2018, which is quite a long time ago, more than 25,000 disconnections were noted in the 2018 financial year. So if we ratio that down to, I don't know, for Tasman,
Yeah.
but you know, is one too much? A family of 5 in a house, when the water goes down because the heat's that's been disconnected, and then the cost of reassociating, reconnecting again. It is, I believe it's a real niche point for us to look at. If we didn't have what's on the roof here, we're looking at like fairly sizable sums of money, not money, but solar credits. So the council would not need to hand out money off the balance sheet. It's a solar credit off the roof, which is a tax advantage, but that's a tax account. So the solar gets put into the bank.
Yeah.
That gets cashed in by Empower and then directed through the agency that TDC require to be done to. So it's new days that way, but there would be people in Motueka who would link on, get connected, and it's all done, you know, off balance sheet, so to speak.
Thank you.
Councillor
Walker.
Can I just ask a quick question? So in collaboration with an agency in Motueka, do you have an agency in mind that potentially could work with the system?
I'm not offhand, because it's fairly, given that they've had their first trial, they've got that $12,500 that have been distributed. I would feel that it would be one of the most needy agencies, you know, who's got the biggest balance of people on their books that require help. Does that exist in PDC? Okay, yeah, but it is doable, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. I just want to express my concern about the proposal to have 6 weekly meetings in your report, Madam Chair. I think you're giving a negative message to your local community with that suggestion. I'd like the board members just to concentrate and focus on the ward itself that they represent. It's one of considerable diversity. Geographically, in the south from Mariri, to the north, Maraho, and beyond to the settlements of the Albert Tasman National Park. The ward has 2 national parks, Kahurangi and Albert Tasman. It's basically mountains to the sea, ward, 4 rivers, the Mutri, the Motueka, Ruoka, the Maraho. The population, it varies from say 14,000 to 20,000 during summer months. And that population, by the way, is greater than any one of the 3 West Coast councils, Bulla, Ray, or Westland. It's greater than the population of the South Taranaki district. It's the same size, more or less, as the Clune District Council, Otago. It's about the same size as the Tararua District Council in the southern area of the north. So it's a large area. It's got a good mix of urban and rural. Probably about 8,000 urban, about 6,000 rural. The economy is diverse. We've got a major national company, even international company called Tallies. We've got a very worthwhile economy selling fruit, hops, apples, kiwi fruit worldwide. Our tourism is a strong part of our economy. Even within the district, a large proportion of elderly who come here a lot from out of town for the climate. you've got the highest proportion of Maori in our ward compared to the rest of the other wards in a district. And coming back to your role as a community board is to be the primary advocate of all those interests. And I took it upon myself to actually list a few items coming up in the next year or two. The swimming pool is the obvious one. A potential second bridge, a possible bypass, improving our paths and cycle lanes, trying to find a new site for the wastewater treatment plant, more than likely somewhere in the Lower Moutere. The impact of the sea level rise on our coast, whether that be Maraho, Aotearoa, and Motueka. We've got drainage problems in Goodman Park, in Memorial Park, and some parks of the town. We have a sediment issue in the Moutere Inlet. We have to look at flood protection along the Rewalking River. Perhaps enhanced flood protection along the Motueka River, despite the 1 in 50 situation. We have to look at future residential areas in our district, not only in Motueka. We have to look at our future Motueka commercial area and the retail area. And notwithstanding that, extending some of our recreation facilities. They are very good at present, but there's always need for improvement. Now, in terms of those items, the district council and the councils here will have a role to play in that. But, and this is an important but, the local community board is the best and the most direct link between those items and the local community. Our councillors have got to be district-wide in their focus, but we can be Motueka locally focused. And this is where the 6 weeks proposal, I think, is quite negative. We've had 35 years of the community board. Most of that has been at 4 weekly meetings. Is that time up? No. So all I want to say in conclusion then, that we have a primary role to play in advocating for our community. And 4 weekly is by far a better way of doing that and mixing and meeting our community needs than a 6 weekly proposal. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do you mind if I?
Well, they're very rough.
That's okay. I think.
I'll rewrite them if I don't mind, and perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
And give them to the secretary.
And we are speaking specifically on this, so I hope you're around for that.
Can I just
Yes.
clarify? Is Mr. Ogilvie aware that this isn't a community board initiated thing? This is, it's not us. It is the Tasman District Council that has brought this to us.
Just happens to sit under her. Surprise! This is how you find out. The last speaker.
Can I firstly just say, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Can I firstly just say the answer to this question is Fifeshire Foundation, which was set up by Tasman District Council and Nelson City Council. And I agree with David. Thank you for adding me to the speaking list. I think that the system of having to book in is unfriendly and difficult for a lot of our community who, like me, are not going to school anymore. I don't think it's inclusive or friendly. I don't think it's easy for the older section of the community to access members of the community board or the councillors in this day. When I was a councillor many years ago, David and I would take turns with the other councillors and community board, being available once a month for a couple of hours on a Saturday. And I would encourage you to sort of think about that, to be available for people to pop in with their little issue that they think is too hard or they don't want to voice publicly. I fear especially our hearing tonight, I fear that the Motueka could lose the community board and a clear voice and representation of the district. The argument used as to why did Motueka and Takaka need a community board and not Richmond, etc., way back 30 years ago. We really need that here. We really need that representation here. I feel that if TDC and Nelson were to become one, who the hell would care about Bainham and Rappahannock? A monthly meeting is certainly welcoming to the community, and people will remember. They wouldn't. It's the first I've heard about the 6 weekly tonight. 6 weekly, nobody's going to remember when that week was. Whereas at the moment you've got something, and I think that's really important for democracy. I really have come along to speak on the friendly towns. I would like to introduce Uina, who has been 2 days in Motueka, and I would like to say that it's nice to see some of the Kiosata stuff. I'd like to see the rest of it brought round from the other meeting room where we used to meet and be on display. It's been a friendly town for 34 years, and that's something to be proud of in this town. I was involved with Motueka, with Kiosata and Fujimi Machi when it started in 1990. A budget of 5,000 was set up to support those 2 committees, and I'm unsure if that's still being included in your budget. Note if it is, there's been no increase for over 30 years. Kiosata and Motueka have one of the most successful school exchanges in New Zealand. Out of the students that we exchange each year now through the Ministry of Education, there's 3 students that went over there, came back, went to varsity, got a degree, and are now out in the world doing things. And I'm sure that Brent would probably agree with me, and probably David too. 2 of those students would never have left Motueka town if they hadn't had that opportunity. Kiosata town pays for our student accommodation, schooling, homestay, uniform, etc. In Motueka, Kiosata pays for her to come. They pay the accommodation homestay cost of $305 per week. They stay with me for nothing, but they need to be with students. They need to be with kids. Being with granny and granddad's hopeless now. They pay for everything. I think that that's unfair, and I'm worried about the support that is coming from TDC into keeping this vibrant and going. Kiosata travels to Motueka each September. They pay all their own costs. Out of the grant that we apply for, we use to put on a welcome party, and I must say that some of you are not very good at replying to that invitation. All it takes is a yes, I can, no, I can't, come please. And we do a trip down to the Able Tasman in the welcome party. I think that it's important to keep this going and keep this vibrant thing available for our students. I think it's more important today than it was in 1994 when our first student went. We put much into the Motueka Kiosata Committee group that has put much into the youth, and it is probably more important today than it was in 1994. It's so important for our kids today to realise that they can leave this little town and fly. The world is very, very small. And I think it's very important that a representative of the community board attends our approximate 4 meetings per year. I think that's all.
Mary,
So a wee bit of a telling off, but an encouragement too,
I've
please.
got a question, but a statement. I would never disagree with you, members.
Good, good.
So it's a little point of clarification for our minutes is that a councillor attends every one of those meetings. What you're asking is to have a councillor
community-
and a community board.
Yes, because the community, they may not be the councillor. The councillor at the moment is from this ward. But if the councillor that took on that role, I mean, when I was on thing, I had 2 portfolios. One was community, one was friendly towns, and the other one was health. And I regularly was in Takaka. and you don't, and I didn't get paid for those meetings, but I was happy. I mean, it was the role I took on and the role I did. But if the sister city or the friendly town councillor happened to be in Takaka, would he, she come? If they were from Murchison, would he, she come? So that's why it needs to be community board based and supported. I think it's important for our youth.
And just to touch on the display, that is thanks to Councillor Walker and Deputy Chair Hutt.
Well, there are paintings that are missing. There's quite a lot of stuff that is missing. So I hope that
it's a start.
Well, it's taken too long.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll find third gear soon.
Hmm?
I'll find third gear.
David and I will do it, won't we, David?
Mary, would you like to table your notes or?
No.
No. That's fine.
Small, But yeah, so Uena is not staying with me. She'll be moving on to a host family, one who is a lad who has been to Kia Sato. So that is going and there's children in the family. So it will be a great experience for her, and she goes home in November.
Thank you. Welcome. Now, amongst all of the having lots of new people around the table and all the rest of it, I have forgotten to do our karakia. So we will
notice that actually.
I didn't either until we were a second speaker, and so we will go to our karakia now. Feel free to join. Kia tau, mai te maramatanga, kia tau, mai te rangimarie, kia tau, mai te kaha, me te pai whakaaro, mō tēnei kaupapa. Uie tai ki. And I'll just clarify in English, let's be grounded in clarity, let's be peaceful, let's be strong and considerate for this purpose, bind us together, and so it is. So apologies for that, but here we go. Now I've just got 2 late items to add into the chair's report. One is the roundtable with ministers, and the second is the request for a letter of support for application for RDA. So we'll get to that in the chair's report. We have no presentations, but we do have a couple of reports. So for this next one, I'm going to invite Mr. Townsend up to the table. We're not going to accept the report or do any voting yet. We're going to let Mr. Townsend talk to the report. We can have our discussion, and then it is up to the councillors if you wish to remain in the room and be part of the next phase.
Tēnā koutou e te whānau. I'll take the report as read. It's substantially the same as the report we brought to you last time, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Or anyone?
Last month, well, through the chair, last month, I questioned 4.3. And I have seen nothing legally binding since then to change what I believe that this is incorrect. I think it's well noted in the reports, but I will draw to your attention, this is 4.1 compliance. The chief executive is to ensure that an explanation of these acts is made at the first meeting and at each triennial election. So we were not presented with the 2013 Code of Conduct. That's fact. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. And so is that as noted in the chair's report?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just wanted it for the people out there in YouTube land.
Yep. Now there was also, was there anything from anyone else before I just... There was also, you'll notice that insert into the policy the other week, just that line, because we were unsure of how things sat with councillors having to wear 2 hats, as in they're already under the code of conduct for council and how they operate under the code of conduct for the community board. I'm not sure if that wording is quite right because from further discussion, even though your parent code of conduct trumps the community board one, you're still a community board member, so the code still applies to all members on the board. Yeah. So whether or not there needs to be either we take that out, or it's likely that when you're doing community board activity, it fall under the community board code of conduct. So I guess that's just a question out to the councillor. If there's yes, board member Armstrong.
By the community board for the first time. There was two councillors who moved and seconded that, and likewise in 2016, one councillor was either a mover or a seconder, I can't remember which. So council members have been involved in votes up till now. But alongside that, the code then, right through 2019, was identical for the council and the community board. This is the first time we tried to do one that just community board orientated. So that's it, just modifying back to it.
That's good to know that councillors in the past have moved and seconded code of conduct for the board. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
So my understanding is at one stage 3 board councillors abstained from the vote, and that's why there's confusion on what code existed or didn't exist. And that would have been when I was sitting in your chair, Madam Chair. So those naughty councillors set a precedent. Like to be fair, I think this board, as Mr. Ogilvie has pointed out, has got bigger things to do than to not find some form of status and code that you will bind yourself for. So I don't mind being bound by the community board's code of conduct. I recognise that the one from council is higher, but I think we're getting to the stage where, for other reasons, you're spending a lot of time on coming up with a code of conduct for this board that you are willing to stand by. And I get there's some history and there's some other tricks, but in terms of moving forward, I think it's right for the community to expect the board at some stage, and if the gap's now closed in terms of being reviewed every triennium, that's great, but absolutely adhering to some form of code. And I think you've workshopped that through.
Yeah.
So I guess my opinion is you should get on with it.
Yeah. Yes. Would be Armstrong.
Could I pick up from there? That I believe also that we've spent far too long on this piece of work, and I don't want it all to be relitigated yet again today. I believe we need to go on as a board, we need to get on with stuff that the community cares about, not we getting internally focused on how we behave, what we believe is exactly, blah blah. People want us to be doing stuff out there for them. I'll continue on the other notes that I've made, if that's okay. I take serious note of, or consider seriously the advice and the analysis that in section 5 and the summary of options in section 6 about, and basically that leads up to which of the 3 options that we had being offered that will become the code, option 1, 2, or 3. That advice to me clearly is that what we are proposing is a straight what we wrote without the business about councillors and about the other appendices, changing the appendix, which has been recommended to us. If we don't do that, then we forever have arguments about whether the code applies to a councillor or to a community board member, or and what role they in. It's not clear to me at all what we have proposed as the draft that comes up draft option 1, that clarifies possible ambiguities about exactly who this applies to. Also, if the advice is correct, I haven't checked on this, but if the advice is correct, that Local Government Act, which we're working under, specifies that we have to have stuff that's mentioned in item 5, the we can say thank you. Item 5, thank you. Yes,
Suggested legislation information.
to fully meet the legislative requirements. Now, I can't see why we want to try not to meet legislative requirements when it's so easy to do so without affecting the rest of the purpose of the code of conduct. So, given that, when we get round to considering having full debate on it, I would be happy to strongly support option 3, and be happy to move that option 3 is the wording that is used in adopting this code of conduct. Chair.
Thank you. I'm just going to move to Board Member Hughes and then Deputy Chair Hart first.
I'd just like to say that I agree we really do need to get the code of conduct finalised. We've workshopped it intensively, and I thought we were at a stage where the 4 elected community board members were happy with the wording. And now it feels like now I'm looking at the recommendations, we're going backwards again, which I'm not really happy about. So if the draft code of conduct that we workshopped and agreed on, we're all still happy with it, then can we vote and do it? Basically, well, it seems like we're going around in circles.
Yeah, we hear you. I'll just go to Board Member Hughes, and we're hoping we can get this to a wrap soon. Yes.
People are forgetting that the reason why there is so much going into this is because of the Tasman District Council and the way they have gone about certain issues. We need, as a community board, to ensure that we have a voice, that we can answer, we can ask the tough questions to TDC. As I have found personally, that right can easily be removed. And that's why, to the people in YouTube land, there is a lot going on behind the scenes here. And the ongoing questioning of our draft, which we were all happy with, I find unacceptable. I want to get on and do stuff for our community. But as I have found, when you ask the tough questions and you get shut down with the code of conduct, we need to ensure that our code of conduct is fair and reasonable for our needs, not for the Tasman District Council.
Okay, thank you. So what I'm going to propose, and I'm hearing David would, you'd like to take some of the advice from the report. Deputy Chair Hart, Board Member Hughes, want to go through with the original draft, so last month's draft. So I'm going to propose, actually, sorry. Did you want to?
That's good.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, sorry. So, Board Member Armstrong, you have moved, but we haven't even accepted anything yet. So I just wanted to give the councillors opportunity before we continue, before we accept the report, and then we'll take into consideration Board Member Armstrong's moving of option 3. Interesting. Okay. So is there any further discussion before we go through the next process? Okay. That all good? Yeah. You have nothing else to add? Okay. So I'm
See option 3.
sorry?
Can Board Member Hutt see option 3? Is she with us?
Yeah, you've got
Yeah.
the document in
Yes,
front of
you
you.
can. Yeah.
Okay, so first we're going to move that we receive the report, so the adoption of the Motueka Community Board Code of Conduct report. So if I can have a mover and a seconder for receiving the report. Bruce? Yes. So Board Member Armstrong's happy to move that. Anyone happy to second?
Yeah.
Deputy Chair Hart. Okay, so Board Member Armstrong put forward the motion for option 3. So if anyone wishes to second that.
Sorry, can I just clarify for the board?
Yes.
That resolution number 3.
Oh, sorry. Are you talking about resolution number 3? Oh, okay, so. Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about the options.
I don't mind. Okay.
So sorry, Deputy Chair Hart, we'll just go back. So I'll read this out so everyone's aware. So Board Member Armstrong is referring to in accordance with Schedule 7, Part 1, Clause 15 of the Local Government Act 2002, adopts the Motueka Community Board Code of Conduct that is attachment 2 to the agenda. Once Appendix 1 has been replaced with the Local Government New Zealand General Explanation of the Local Government and Official Information and Meetings Act, LGOIMA in brackets, and any other enactment or rule of law that affects members. So that is one of the options in the resolution that Board Member Armstrong's moved. If anyone else wanted to second that. Okay, so
I'm confused here. I'm getting lost with all of the,
options.
as long as this isn't some, sorry, my past experiences, the Tasman District Council and all of us as elected members have found out we have to be very, very careful with wordings and
So
trusting you.
So you don't, there's been no seconder yet, okay? So I want to put forward a motion. Right, okay. Do you want to, no, okay. So Board
Appendix.
Member Hughes, I'm just going to put forward another motion.
I mean, can I clarify what that appendix is? Would that help?
Yes, yes, please.
So that's just it's attached to this report. And it's just a more fulsome explanation of the laws that apply to a community board member. As I've said in the report, the more fulsome explanation makes you more fully comply with the law, but as currently, the explanation you currently have is adequate and does still comply.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to put forward a motion that we accept number 4, however, remove the paragraph. Otherwise, we're going to complicate people adding it in. So the paragraph I'm referring to.
So can I just clarify? So resolution 3 that's been put has now failed due to lack of a seconder. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So now you'd like to put resolution number 4?
Yes.
Right.
That was because I think if we try and reword it, which I know we have got some tentative wording there, it just might drag things out a little bit more. So if we just remove that one statement under general public in the introduction, which refers to the councillors, and accept, did you want to?
Oh, no, you please.
And accept that the councillors fall under the code of conduct because they are members of the board.
So what I suggest we do is adjourn for 2 minutes. I'll have a chat with Hayley and we'll get it up, the new resolution up on the board.
Okay.
And the board can vote. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
All right, so meeting adjourned for, it'll probably be 5 minutes.
Then that's good. Everything about it needs to be standing still. It basically, in retrospect, it said, well, you've agreed to accept.
Okay. All right, so we'll re-adjourn the meeting. Okay, so thank you to Mr. Townsend and Hayley for putting in that wording, so now that you know what we're talking about. So basically, all this is going back to what our original code of conduct from last month, March's meeting was. And it's just removing that statement that we put in the other week. So I'd like to move number 4, in accordance with Schedule 7, Part 1, Clause 15 of the Local Government Act 2002, adopts the Motueka Community Board Code of Conduct 2024 and Attachment 2 to the agenda once the following wording has been removed. So we've got a seconder by Board Member Hughes. Have we all in favour? Anyone?
Hands, just.
Anyone again? The Board Member Hart, Deputy Chair Hart, sorry, just checking your hand. You haven't put your hand up if you're okay, or unmute.
I've just sent a message. I can't hear what's going on. All I can see is Hayley's screen.
Oh, okay. Steve's just left.
I'm just left with her screen. I can't hear what's going on.
Okay. And I didn't get. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Tarina.
Okay, but you can't see the screen.
Ring Steve and tell him to come back.
What screen can you see the resolution?
She can just see your laptop,
that.
so maybe slide that over to this.
A month goes by that there's not.
Oh, yeah. Is that better?
Can you see the resolution?
Yes.
I can see the motion, yeah.
Okay, so I've just moved number 4. So it's basically going back to the code that we had at March's meeting.
Yeah.
It has been seconded by, yeah, and just saying.
I agree.
Okay, fantastic. So it is with great delight that we have moved the motion.
Yeah, pass unanimous.
Well done, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so now we're moving on to report for our special projects policy. So that is on page 48. You're going to speak to that too?
Through the chair, like I'll take the report as read. The only update I have is I understand that the Golden Valley Community Board has recently recommended that this policy go to council visits. Either of you want to answer the question?
Yes, Board Member Armstrong.
I want to thank the staff. I think Rachel Harvey was the main one working on the detail of this.
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. On how they've accepted many of the views that we had when we workshop this. I think it's a very thorough job. Well done. I'm very happy to move on to adopt it. I just have one question, if I could please. Looking at the exact meaning of the reference, quoting no special project money for operational activities. I'm just wondering what operational actually means. Does it mean paying non-staff people to do things, or does it mean if staff members get involved on things like the re-gravelling, basically maintenance and improvement of the walkways down at the reserve? Now, can that be classified as operational? And therefore we gave money to something that we shouldn't do, or is sort of major maintenance on something that needs maintenance, can that be not operational? Come on, Richard, you're here.
Every time I'm not listening, you're asking a question. Sorry, what was it again?
The operation, the word, meaning of the word operational.
Yep.
That would rule out things like what we did, what the special projects paid for to re-gravel and improve the part of the walkway down at Inlet Reserve. We've done 2 of those now.
Yes, that would be if the footpath was already there and we're putting maintenance metal on, that's operational. If it's a new footpath going down, it's capital. Or if a major portion of that footpath is being replaced or renewed, that's capital. But if it's just maintenance metal put over it or whatever, a new reseal or whatever, then it's operation. Yep. That answer your question? Okay. Well, can I just clarify that one as well? If the path is there and you do some work on it to widen the path or improve the quality of the path, then some of that might be operational, but a lot of it would be capital because you're actually extending the life of that path because you're creating bigger level of service. So there's a bit of a discussion around that. There's some criteria around it. So at this stage, I say if you're just placing metal on an existing path, that would be OPEX. But if you're doing widening and that sort of thing, then it'll be a bit of capital as well.
Thank you, Michelle. Just want to be clear that we know what the future projects that now not actually do.
Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you through your chair. But I guess
Me, I sit there questioning the OPEX versus the CAPEX, and I've got a couple of examples. One is, I know that if we do something, I'm fairly confident, I should say, that if we do something and it's on parks and reserves, and we put a picnic table, for example, parks and reserves pick that up. They do the variation to the project, they do the as-bills and the warranties, and then Parks and Reserves give it to Melmac and then they add it to their works order and it gets maintained. But if it's not Parks and Reserves, and I'll give you an example of a picnic table that was put in by the Mott River, at what point do special projects talk to that part or the silo or whatever it is over in council around, we've put that table there, but that never got maintained. So we have these great ideas and we listen to our community and we build these things, but there's a piece of information that doesn't get transported from here to here to maintain that. And I guess that's my concern. It does what we're looking at today actually cover the fact that we don't always put stuff on Parks and Reserves. We do put them in other areas. And how do we pick up the thread of the work that's needed? Otherwise, we shouldn't be doing things if we can't maintain them, because then we have health and safety challenges that come along. I'll give you another example with our capital expenditure. So we may have a fence down at the cemetery. So we've got some money allocated in special projects for this fence. That actually the fence just needs a part of it mended, but that would come out of operational costs. So we can't use that money to fix that piece of fence. We've got to replace the whole friggin' fence. So I'm trying to work out where within the policy does it cover us so that if we do something, it's maintained, or we can actually fix something that wouldn't have made it onto an urgent works order somewhere else, because that's what our community want through their special grants, which they put money into. How do we cover those areas?
Good question, good points. I'm just, oh yes.
Sorry, through the chair, the 4.2.1 of the policy talks about ongoing operational costs. So that is your maintenance, that's your, the sort of bits and pieces. But in terms of,
4.2 point, sorry,
2.1,
you got a page number 54.
54
That'll be the
Oh.
actual policy
in the actual policy.
appendix.
Talks about
Oh,
ongoing
yes,
operational
okay,
costs as
yep.
opposed to all
Yeah.
operational.
As you were, thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm just wondering if that's like, because obviously there's part one and that's around communications, making sure it's going to the right teams when we put things in. And then who's picking those things up. And I'm just wondering if that's something that we can ask to be added as part of that appendix assessment form, or like when we're putting through those projects, that we identify which areas need to know which would be just another column. Potentially, we'll put that forward as a.
There is already a thing, if it's a council project, does it have a support of council staff? And is it achievable with regard to resources, planning and timeframes and ongoing maintenance? There's already a flag there,
Yeah,
but it doesn't sort of,
give us the room to identify who, because we won't know, but I guess when we're engaging with staff, is Deputy Chair Hart still on? Just because this is her area that she's sort of looking after as well, so it'd be good for her. Just check.
No, she's gone.
Oh, she's gone. Have a sister. Oh no, it's too late there. Hold on. She's sent a message. Oh, she's going to try and rejoin.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've made a complaint, but that's probably why. Well, if you need to piss people off, then it does happen. Well, it's because of this sort of thing, I made a complaint. They went to somebody else.
can you hear us, board member Hart?
That's the biggest issue. That's when they sit there, well, that's.
Can't hear or see anything.
Well, they've had trouble 3 times now.
We're on YouTube. She's
See, yeah.
They said this, and so I'm waiting for it to come up, and a week later I go, "Hey, what's happening? Oh, sorry."
That's better. Can you hear us?
Enough of trouble.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got. Right. Can you hear and see us okay?
Yes, thank you, Nan.
Fantastic. So I'm not sure when you dropped out. What was the last thing that you heard around the table?
I heard the start of this section about this when councillor Walker was talking about the chairs not being maintained at the bridge.
Okay. Okay, so since then, Mr. Townsend identified within the policy under section 4.2, page 54, that it covers operational costs in there, as in special project funding will not be provided for ongoing operational costs. I also suggested that maybe in the appendix where there's got the template for when we're putting through projects, that maybe we add in a row around who we need to communicate with within council. And I guess that's when we're going through that part where you're speaking with staff, that you could identify those parts. Mr. Kirby wants to say something.
Yes, I do, now that I've caught up. I think one of the things we probably need to be careful of when you put capital projects in it, where they're located. If they're located on a council reserve or council property, then obviously they can be transferred across to our maintenance. But I think the bench you're talking about is actually on road that's ministered by NZTA, Waka Kotahi. So that creates a quandary for us, because theoretically, unless we have their approval, they're not going to turn around and maintain that because it's on their land. So we might have to have a special dispensation or note that in our systems that that bench is there, even though it's not on our land. So, and I'm not even sure whether we got permission from Waka Kotahi to put it there. So that's another aspect of it too. So, so I think in future when we do capital funding, we need to make sure that we're building things that it's on land that we actually administer. And if it's not, that we get permission for it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, it is, it's the next one down.
Yeah.
Non-council, is there agreement from the landowner, from the property owner?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, she was on the same page. I knew that.
Yeah. So I guess all those things, if we can get them up front, and then we know if it's worth proceeding with or not. With the
I'm not sure if you finalising this or not, but I'm still happy to move that be adopted. I'm just was asking the question, and we have noted that there is a potential for a bit of. What's long date? Can I ask you? Did this come up at all because you're working on the same document?
Yeah. We applied it pretty quickly because there wasn't a lot of debate around it. Yeah, this issue didn't really come up.
okay. So would you like to move that we receive the report and move that we accept the policy as is? Yes, so that's moved by board member Armstrong. Have we got a seconder? Board
I'm in there now.
Board member
Keep going.
Hughes. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone again? Carried. Fantastic. Okay, right. Chair's report. Note. Okay, so I'm just going to move that my report is received, please. Can I have a seconder?
Yep.
Yes, Hughes again. Everyone in favour?
Aye.
Right, carried, and we'll do those other two in a minute, because I think we shall discuss, yeah? Okay, so just gonna have a quick look if I have some notes on here. Oh, so 3.3 on page 62, you'll see I've put a suggestion there to change the name to board report, so to align with Golden Bay and also everybody's input, and I haven't had any backlash. Yes, everyone happy? Fantastic. 3.5, long-term plan drop-in session. So I guess something that needs to be improved. Yeah, we're really big, I know, around the board at getting community engagement, and it started off well, but then we had a few amendments, as in, you'll recall at last month's meeting, I said it would be on the 4th of the 8th, because that's the dates that I was given from staff when, we were corresponding on this. And Councillor Dowler reported that no, it's on the 3rd, because that's the invite that went out. So just those little things. If I'm confused about what's happening, then I'm sure our community are too. And it was great to see a lot of staff there and elected members, but I would have loved to have seen more of the community. And yeah, so that's something I really think that if we can try and help, we've only got a few more days left to get it, the message out to community about putting in their submissions for the long-term plan. So I guess it's just a call to the board members, if you can help spread that word and engage as many in the community as possible to have their say. 3.6, attachment 1, so that's gone around the board. Thank you, board member Armstrong, for helping guide us on that to get that submission in. So if I can just move that now. So point 2 endorses the attached Motueka Community Board submission on the Tasman District Council's long-term plan, attachment 1, and delegates to the chair the authority to submit and speak to the submission if required. So is that okay? So moved by the chair, seconded by Hughes.
Yep.
That's 2 and 3. All in favour?
Right.
Aye. Anyone again? No.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So
Submission to councils.
yes, sorry. So our
So
councillors have all three,
what were you just passing then?
2 and 3. So our submission to
Long-term
the
plans.
long-term plan. So we've had it. I've moved that. Board member Hughes has second. We've had councillor Murray abstain.
I'm going to abstain.
Councillor Walker abstain. Councillor Dowler abstain.
Down 3 councillors.
You just need to do it yourself, right? I'm, you and David have it all sorted.
No one again carried. Okay, thank you. Right, now. I won't touch on any of that. Is there anything in here that anyone wants to speak to before we go to communities' concerns, and then we'll carry down further? Yes, board member Armstrong.
Just 3.8, just a note verbally, not in the minutes or anything like that, but the sentence saying the review of the 8-week rule before councils come about, board member Hughes' persistence and the support of the majority of board members. What we voted on, and I voted against, was changing it from 8 weeks to 2 years. And that was on that issue. In terms of having a review, would have been for that if it hadn't mentioned that it had to go to two years. So in fact, that was unanimous in terms of having a review, which is what's written here.
Right, yes, good point, board member Armstrong. If we can tidy that up then. It's basically just removing majority.
I don't think you need to record that, just around the table.
No, I think we should leave that. Majority of the 3.8.
It's just support of board members. Just going to amend it so my report reflects support of board members, not majority of. Yeah. Okay. All right. Right. We're going to move down to community concerns. So 6.1. This has been around the table before, and we had a presentation from Mr. Williamson a couple of months ago about smart bins. But I was going to actually hand it over to Golden Bay Deputy Chair Knowles, because you were happy to speak to this. This is
Yes, through the chair. We've had this problem for years and years in Golden Bay. It mainly comes from the top of the Tākeka Hill and also festivals up the Cog, where a lot of the festivals, the organisers don't allow people to dump their rubbish with them, and they don't take responsibility for it, rather than telling them to sort their own rubbish out and take it away with them. So subsequently, I know that this side of the hill, as well as our side of the hill, we get an awful lot of rubbish in that particular sort of New Year and period right through until about now, which isn't necessarily a problem that is ours, but it has added a lot to the issue. So I would like to ask if the community board here could perhaps also contact, because we've actually talked to the organisers of these festivals, and we were told they're not interested and that people need to take responsibility, and they're not interested in providing anything, any way, shape or form. So it is a problem for both our community boards in both our regions, and it'd be really great if the community board could actually also contact some of the organisers of these festivals to put the hard word on them, give them a little bit of pressure to do the same as taking the responsibility for other people's rubbish and sorting it out, because people are told to go to the recycle place and drop it off there, but they go and dump it in the bins, which aren't capable of doing them and taking it all. And these bins, although are really good, I've also noticed the smart bins weren't coping with what we were getting coming through at all. So that was a pretty big issue. So that's, yeah, I think it's a bigger issue.
Yes, I hear you. I think a lot of ours is to do with the volume of people staying over in our car park during that time. We have a couple of events out here as well, though. Yes, Deputy Chair Hart.
Following on from Ian Williamson's presentation, I contacted a company called Smart City, and they've done a quote for 120 litre smart bin is 8,500, and 240 litre smart bin is 9,600, which is a lot less than what I was thinking it was going to be. So I think it would be definitely a good idea to have a look at that index reserve because of the freedom camping and the volume of the rubbish there. I've seen Judy at the market sticking her hand in the bin, emptying it all out before the market starts, and it's not a good look.
No, I guess the fortune we have here is the rubbish collectors. There's a small company that they do empty it every morning, I understand, but it might not be till like 9 o'clock. So I'm wondering if it's actually just larger bins to cope with that.
We already have some of those bins in Murchison and St Arnaud, I think it is. We've had them there for quite a few years. They are expensive and they do notify us when they're full. We have had problems with them as well, so there's high maintenance with them as well. And our view is that, and Tony can probably confirm it, is probably not really interested in purchasing any because they do get vandalised and they're very expensive. Yeah.
What about just good old plain large rubbish bins?
Well, of course, it's the whole story is rubbish costs money, and if the ratepayers are quite happy to pay a lot more and collecting more and more rubbish, then you can request that. But at the end of the day, we're encouraging people to deal with their own rubbish rather than putting into big bins. You put big bins in deck reserve, even the neighbours around there will know about it. Instead of buying a bag, they'll go put their rubbish in the bin. Yeah. So putting bigger bins, it's like trying to deal with obesity is get a bigger bill. It's not the best way to do it.
Well, member Hughes.
Well, overflowing rubbish. Each morning it's getting emptied out. Fact of the matter is we've got a subsidised campground out there. They're even plugging in to power there, the bigger motorhomes. And this is the same issue last month, overflowing at the facility down by the swimming pool. For me, I just cannot get my head round the Tasman District Council looking after people living in their vans to the point now of we're discussing how to sort out their rubbish, and we're providing them with facilities, and yet on the other side of the coin, we're going for people and taking them to court for living in caravans. Yeah, enough said.
So is your issue there, take the rubbish bins out?
No, my issue is we've got camping grounds. All the camping grounds are gone now. It's park over properties and car parks.
Yeah, so
It's absolutely full. That's
take the rubbish bins out of here. We won't have a problem with overflowing rubbish bins.
We get rid of the people living in their caravans and vans. I mean, hey, look, if you are going to get rid of people living in their caravans, do it across the board. Don't just pick on those that are living on somebody's property.
Councillor Maru.
So I've got a question. So this board at one point in time had a very strong stance on freedom camping and a very strong push for staff to enforce that. And if that, I'm just testing, is that what you're asking for as a board?
No,
because if that's what the board wants, then the board say be very careful what you ask for.
I know you've had this conversation with me a number of times. Yes. I'm not saying it's easy. But what I am saying is here, we've got to be careful with how we deal with issues because there's parallels everywhere.
And I guess this, the answer to that is this has come from the board, not from staff about extra rubbish bins.
Yeah. But
so that's the discussion. Yeah. So if the board doesn't want that, that's really easy. You can go, let's move on.
Okay. The problem is though, is the fact that it's clear if it's being cleaned up each morning, we've seen it's absolutely chocker. They're all chocker everywhere. Now, these people aren't popping out for the weekend camping. They're living. I fix the cars for them. They're all rusty as well. I fix the warrants. I've fixed a number of they live in them. They do. They just live in them. Yeah.
Okay, so we've gotten nowhere. I guess it was just noting that it is a problem. It's not so bad now. I did go to the market on Sunday and it looked good. It was definitely around those summer months. Yes, Councillor Walker.
I guess the question is if we increase the bins, are we going to increase the rubbish?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
We have put more bins here. Over the time that I've been a councillor, I'm pretty sure we have instated more bins here and the problem has got bigger. The problem has not gone away. And I witnessed two gentlemen yesterday, last week, sorry when I was here, putting their household rubbish because actually they can't afford a yellow bag at the end of their driveway. So they go around and they use our bins because actually they can't afford to do their household rubbish. So this conversation is much bigger than a little mess just here. And I don't think we have the time tonight to go any further, but my concern is we've increased the bins, the rubbish has increased. At what point do we go, we don't want to focus just on rubbish. We've got other bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, good point. So there's 3 bins in this vicinity that I'm aware of. 1 here and 2 down this end.
And outside the library and outside the eyesight. I mean, it's not just here.
Councillor Maru.
If I just add to absolutely your point, Councillor Walker is absolutely right, because at one stage the residents and the businesses from High Street put their bins out for collection. So they too got filled up, and that was the issue that Councillor Board Member Hutt and I attempted to solve. So more rubbish bins, more rubbish.
Just check where our Spanish friend is. She can't see us. Okay,
yeah.
Yes, Councillor Dowler.
I was just going to say, when Gita happened and I was looking after the crew, 3 van loads that used to come over, we used to meet at the dairy over here every morning, and there was a young fella every morning on his way to school, parked at school on his bike, and he'd quietly just ride past us on the footpath and deposit the New World bag in the rubbish bin every day. And so that was the household rubbish that was part of the job going to school, and I commended him for that because it wasn't going somewhere else.
Yes, good point.
And so if it's being cleaned up daily, that's because we can ask for. We can't determine what time the people start and finish. So yeah, we just got to live with it. Yeah.
I think Councillor Walker makes a really good point that, you know, these these are results of some bigger
Correct.
issues that
That's it.
we need to look at.
Yeah, yeah, control.
Yeah. Which I guess we can touch on with my late item that I put in there that we can talk about in a minute. Now, I just want to address point 7. So Board Member Hughes to be noted in the minutes. So just get your advice on this, Mr. Kirby. Do we just copy paste 7.2 into the actual minutes? So it's reflected.
It's actually in the report, which is actually goes into council's records anyway. In minutes, you can just say endorse 7.2 with the agenda.
I guess that just means someone has to go find that.
I mean, we copy it in the minutes if we want to.
I'm just looking at Board Member Hughes waiting for.
Oh, no, it's fine, as long as it's noted in there. That's all we need. Move on.
Yep, so noted in the minutes.
Yep.
But what we're just saying is it's noted in the report.
Yep.
Which is an attachment to the minutes anyway. And Mr. Kirby said you can refer to 7.2 in the chair's report.
Yep, fine. With that.
Okay. Oh, okay, yes. Sorry. Oh, no, she's not. Okay, and I sort of need her for this next bit. She is active.
You're okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not paying for that.
Oh.
She's on Spain. Supposed to come here.
Felt quite tropical coming over today. It was warmer here than it was in Richmond, I have to say. Quite tropical to you to Richmond.
Okay. I don't know
No,
what
it's
to do
always
about that.
It just gets better.
Should we?
Golden Bay moves on to the next level.
Well, because I'm going on to.
Where we all want to be.
6 weeks.
Golden Bay is next level.
It's a secret.
Don't come.
Shut the gate like we tried to.
Holidays, spend your money and go away.
I'm actually moved along now.
Okay, so we've lost our deputy chair.
We still have a quorum, so I think you can continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to be part of these next 2, but anyway. Okay, so we will move on to point 8 around the meeting frequency, which I believe this has come up in conversation. I remember this conversation a year ago when council was trying to align everybody's meeting times with councils. And I will call on Deputy Chair Knowles from Golden Bay in a minute, but first Board Member Armstrong.
Right. I strongly against both of these ideas, 6 weeks or 2 monthly. I do appreciate the Democracy Services has had a lot of work that we've generated for them with the code of conduct, obviously, but the special projects and the discretionary funds, all those were pieces of work over the last year. They're all past now, thank goodness. And their involvement in meetings regularly should, the secretary maybe, or whatever, nothing needs to be done more than that, I suspect. Well, in other words, back to normal. 6 weekly was tried back in 2014. Roughly a year was chair. And the reason for it was, given at the time I was just attending as press at that stage and reporting on it, the reason that was given there was that it aligned with council meetings. If you made a decision, you'd have to wait for 6 weeks to get it done. But nothing, I saw no improvements in the time I was attending all those meetings, and everything just still fiddled along if it needed to. It's fine for councillors to to have 6 weeks between the major meeting, but they have these other committee meetings as well, and they see each other for workshops as well, so they've got plenty of time. If we went to 6 weeks or 2 months, then we would, I think much of our work would be done. And emails flying around amongst the 7 of us all the time, which we get enough of, in my opinion, already. And not, sort of making pseudo decisions that have to be ratified maybe 2 months away. I appreciate what David Ogilvie is saying, that I think that's true too. There's stuff to get on with. But we do need to be able to regularly look at the issues that come up rather than waiting for a long way away. Also what Mary, the friend, said, back then, I do remember people not realising when the next meeting was, because it was 6 weeks from the last one instead of every third Tuesday that you can tell people. And so, well, the next one is, I better check. I haven't got my calendar diary with me. No, you can't see it on the council. I think it's about 4 weeks away. It was that like that. And so I seem to remember one member even not turning up because he'd forgotten it was on. So I think that for multiple reasons, I would be strongly against this. We do need to have community involvement.
Yeah. Is there anyone that disagrees with David or is for 6 weekly meetings? So I'll just go to Board Deputy Chair Knowles from Golden Bay, because this went around the table there.
Yep, and a deep discussion was had, a bit below the surface. We've had a few some quite small agendas, and I think that was one of the reasons why we felt that we could sort of have the agendas a little bit fuller and have more time to get things done in that respect. I think most of the board members were very quick to say yes to it, to 6 weeks, wanting to align with to make it easy on council staff. Not everybody agreed with it. I have more of a sentiment towards Motueka's stance on it personally, but it came across very strongly that 6 weeks would be totally adequate. And for all the reasons that I've heard around this table, I think I had those arguments too. We're going to give it a go, and I think that's all we can do is give it a go and see what it's like. We can always change it. So, if down the line, I remember when I came onto the board 7 or 8 years ago, first, it was asked back then. So it's taken a while for our board to actually adopt it. So it's always been on the agenda at the beginning of every yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Dowler.
Yeah, I'm certainly not really aligning with 6 weeks. Like at the moment, you have 11 meetings a year. You'll drop back to 8, saving of 3 meetings. I mean, okay, but the people are rated accordingly, I think, for the 11 meetings a year. We're just, and being on here for 2.5 terms, when the board is functioning and really cranking, you can actually achieve a lot, and you really do need to meet monthly to make sure that you're getting things where you want them to be. That's just my personal feeling.
Yep. Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you through Chair. Sat here, took in every word that David Ogilvie shared with us, and there were a lot of people in this room who agreed, and I think that spoke volumes in itself, because we had quite a few people in public forum at the time. In a response to what Board Member Armstrong says, that yeah, we get to see each other quite a lot, us over in Richmond. We do have meetings. We actually spend an awful lot of time ratifying decisions that have already been made. We also spend a lot of time accepting reports, of which we have squat all input into currently as councillors. We have limited delegations, and post-COVID even less. I would hate to think that for our community board, we lost any delegations, any advocacy role within our community. I think it would be a very sad day I like the fact that you can quote that Paul Hawkes was, you know, the chair back in 2014, and we gave it a go. I don't know if Golden Bay has given it a go, but Golden Bay is a very different community from ours. And I strongly disagree that we should go to a 6 or a 2-monthly meeting cycle. I think we would lose a lot of reputation within our community. We would lose the congeal, the flavour that we have where we work across the wide spectrum. As David Ogilvy shared, our community is made up of many, many different groups of people. Currently, they can access us. If you push us out to 8 weeks, you'll lose them, and we'll lose them and our voice. And Motueka will become a standstill, no longer active community.
I have been popping along to public forums over the years since I realised that there was a public forum, and since I realised that my letters to council were getting nowhere. And I felt empowered that I could stand in front here and tell my concerns, because up until then, I felt I was going nowhere. I felt a David against Goliath, and I wasn't being listened to. And this coming here to the public forum gave me hope. All right, and it gave me hope when I was really down. I would hate for anything to affect that. And in recent years, in recent times since COVID, I've noticed a huge increase in people that are coming forward and telling us their views. I think that people are realizing now that they do have a voice. There isn't this Goliath that just treads on everybody. They now know that they can come and speak. And it's interesting to hear that perhaps Motueka has more public forum speakers, perhaps, than other places. I don't know.
I don't think back in 2002, when I first got on the community board, the full half hour was chocker with public forum people.
Well, even good. That's even better.
It goes in cycles. It's like the tide, you know.
But what I'm saying is that people need to talk to us. People need to communicate with us, and our monthly meetings is that place. And I think we should be looking at why this has come about. The Democracy Services team is currently seriously under-resourced. Well, there is your issue. I mean, I was told I was to blame for this, and they had to hire more staff. So it's now other people. I think this problem needs to be put back fairly and squarely with the Chief Executive Officer of the Tasman District Council. But as elected people, I take it we have to go to the Mayor. So I think we should send a strongly worded letter to the Mayor saying that this is a council issue, not an elected. If they've got problems with their staff, the Mayor has to talk to the CEO to sort that out.
Right. Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just interested in where this came from, because this is, apart from the agenda, was the first time I'd read this. And what the expectation that you were asked to get from this. And I guess for Deputy Chair Knowles, did you make that decision based on a chair's report, or did you have a report to make a decision in front of the community board? Because
did you have a separate report?
I'm just interested in the process we constantly get about decision reports or decision reports, but chair's reports.
Good point.
So Mr. Kirby, Madam Chair, Deputy Chair Knowles, how did this even come about?
We were actually informed about this issue several times over the years, and it had nothing to do with what's been in this report here, but just saying that it aligns more with the 6-week full council meetings, and that was the main reason that we were given over the years, that they would like to align us with that, because as far as getting the agendas out, it's a lot easier apparently.
I guess my question is, when you made the decision last community board, was that through the chair's report or a separate report?
It was through the chair's report.
So I struggle with that, Mr. Kirby, in terms of a decision that's actually significant, because it's a change to standing orders being made through a chair's report, not a decision report. So I guess I'd make the statement.
Experience and expertise.
Noted in the minutes, please, Hayley. councillor Maru's
So
statement.
Madam Chair, from my perspective, I think you can give feedback and it sounds like the feedback is 4 weekly, but I don't see how you can make a decision on a chairman's report item.
So for us to not even bother going through.
You could give feedback. I think feedback would be helpful.
Yeah, okay. So is the board happy with that? As in, we're not going to move point 4. But we will provide feedback to council around everybody's feelings, because I feel, and I'm pretty sure board member Hart is on the same page from some of the messages she'd sent through earlier, that we would like to remain at our 4 weekly consistency. Monthly, yes, sorry, monthly. And we'll feed that message back. Okay. Thank you. Now.
So just want to getting back to your resolution number 4. So you're declining, you're going to put that, going to move in a second.
Well, I wondered if we did anything, because the comments where it should be a separate.
So through the chair, Mr. Kirby, I didn't think we could make decisions through the
That's
chair's
fine.
report.
Okay.
So I don't see it's even a decision for the chair's report, unless I'm missing point. But
And I can't help you as to where the origin of this came from, other than from democracy. I'm not sure where. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Discussion items from public forum. So point 9. Okay, so we had Ms. Shaker. Sorry, I'm going to get my bearings here. There was cute. Ordinance online. Yes. So just on that, so this is the turnaround time for minutes being available, I believe. So within our space, I have requested that the board receive the minutes within 5 working days and actions, so that we're able to get them sorted. So I guess the next side is, yeah, but that's the next side is for it being publicly available. So I'm actually not sure if those minutes just come out when the agenda comes out, or if they come out earlier. Anyone? Councillor Maru?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like I'm unsure of when. I used to assume that the YouTube link just went live straight after the meeting, but is that not the case?
No.
So,
2 or 3 days.
No, it's taken longer than that.
Sometimes it doesn't happen when there's something fruity been said, found.
I'm just asking, is there a reason? Because part of my entertainment used to be on a Friday was watching Nelson City Council, sorry, on Saturday, watching Nelson City Councils on a Friday. Sorry, the Saturday the next day, so I can get them instantly, but I'm just wondering is it because of the size of the file and they have to do something to it?
Sorry, I cannot answer that question.
I'm trying to find those
questions.
I don't think it's a file size, because I see other community boards actually publish the same day. So if they have a meeting during the day, they publish the same day. Yes.
Oh, thanks, Gary. I found. We've still been waiting for ours and.
Okay, so maybe that's a question back to staff. So Haley, if you find a note. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I found if I Google them rather than go through the official channels, that easy.
This was 2 sets of advice from LGNZ.
Because you've got a great. It's going to happen over to.
Half my half. Well, there was sorry, Madam Chair, there was a message, a statement about Groundhog Day, but I think we've got over Groundhog Day now with the code of conduct.
Yeah.
There was clarification requested about the 2 sets of advice from LGNZ and Tasman District Council. A statement about no training given to the board for code of conduct, and the processes the board's been through from the papers you've had in terms of code of conduct, and a complaint had been made to the chief executive. I guess board members have exercised discretion to adopt the code of conduct made out here. And there was reference to the campaign against boarding behaviours. I think, but you've got the full notes.
Yes.
But,
It was just if there was any discussion, any.
so I guess one of the key outcomes for the board would be to see about minutes being done timely,
We've got that.
videos being available, lots of delay.
Yeah.
Because I think you've probably, with the code of conduct, you've probably done all the other bits.
Yes, and I'd like to go on to the next speaker.
Oh, okay, so Mr. Schaffner, so he will be pleased to see that the board was also against the proposed change for the 6-week rule. There's a lot of people attending the meetings. I don't think there's an outcome question of workload. So essentially, was suggesting the board consider remaining status quo for 4 weeks. Yep. Mr. Williamson, so Mr. Kirby, the Parker Street water treatment plant, has that not got a generator attached to it?
It has.
Thank you. Yep. So there is a generator attached already in place to the Parker Street. And Mr. Kirby may be able to help in terms of who's the right person in your team for protected tree in Parker Street.
I think it's Steve Richards.
Oh, Mr. Strange.
Okay, great.
We'll look after that first.
Okay.
Great.
And the last item regarding NZTA, that's been sent as a service request to
Oh,
NZTA.
thank you.
I think in future, when those things crop, rather than bring them here, they would just put through to NZTA directly.
Yeah, I guess when we got the speaking notes, I asked, is it us or them? Because I wasn't actually quite sure what Mr. Williamson was talking about, and I was going to visit, but didn't.
We appreciate that, Mr. Through Chair, Mr. Kirby, because I'm not sure I know how to do that to NZTA directly.
No.
But thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
There's actually 0800 numbers all over the place. Bring the NZTA.
I like 0800, Mr. Kirby. Oh, sorry. Mr. Forty, in terms of that Empower Energy project, in terms of solar credits being donated back into the grid and given to the community, I guess it's for the board to acknowledge, and if anybody follows it up.
So, at the drop-in on that Wednesday night, Kevin Furry, the mayor, and myself had this conversation. He has been advised to put in a submission for the long-term plan, and I have said I'd take it offline with agencies within community here that potentially could partner if it got that far.
Yep.
And Mary mentioned Bosher Foundation.
Yes.
Councillor Della, did you want to add to?
Not to that.
Okay.
To the manhole cover previously.
Oh.
Manhole cover.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
The manhole cover that Mr. Williams is talking about as a council, storm wastewater pipe. And they actually have done repairs, council has done repairs to about 5 in the High Street. And they have to apply to NZTA to do any work on the highway. And sometimes they're waiting up to 2 months for approval to get that work done. Monitoring that one down there. When the team came through last time and did the one down just pretty much outside of Total, which was really bad. They considered that one there, probably be able to wait for another few weeks. Have a go at it the next time they come through.
Through the chair, Mr. Ogilvy's submission also about the change to a 6-weekly cycle for community board. So again, he too will be a very happy man, I'm sure. And some really good stats in there and some really good suggestions in terms of future workload. So what he gives so notes, otherwise, swimming pool, second bridge, bypass, there's lots of them. Change problems, Goodman Park, Memorial Park, forever. But I believe he's going to provide that. And then the last one through the chair was Mrs. LaFrance in terms of Kiasato. Well, actually, it was a few things. 4 weeks, Kiasato, and yes, the Five Foundation. And I guess I've heard this, and Councillor Walker might want to tag on, is that Kiasato is an amazing opportunity for the 2 towns. And on behalf of the Kiasato Committee, Mary would have been expressing the inequity in terms of what Kiasato fund and pay for when they visit New Zealand or send a student to New Zealand, i.e. paying $305 a week for accommodation for a student. When we send a student from Motueka High School to Kiasato, that is all covered. So there's a one-way cost structure currently set up, and for somebody, maybe the 2 friendly town people, to check whether that budget of 5K is still there, if it's inflation adjusted, or what's happened with that 5K, because again, Councillor Ellis might want to elaborate on her sister city.
If you do me much, she's partially support their students to come. The mayor comes every 2 years. And I don't think our students are supported to go. It is at their cost as well.
It's right.
I'm happy to do a fact finding mission too.
To ensure that all the proper channels are open, bars, restaurants.
Thank you, Board Member Hughes. We'll put that into consideration. Thank you, Councillor Maru, for capturing that. That's really helpful because I'm missing my deputy and she's missing here.
I think it's also through you, Madam Chair. It's worth noting that the mayor has chosen to give portfolios to councillors within our ward. Okay, you've got Councillor Ellis over in Richmond and you've got myself here as a councillor for Kia Sato. Obviously, if the wards were to change in size, then that may be different, but currently he's quite good at putting someone from the right ward into so we can attend meetings.
Through the chair, the request to have somebody from the community board, and so up until now, I think it was going into the community board chair. So whoever the community board member may be to attend for their 4 meetings, it is only about might be 5 things to be fair a year. Potentially up to you, Madam Chair.
I guess I'll have a seat ready next to me for whomever chooses.
So I guess that's us getting put on the invite list for those meetings, yeah. And then we can move down. Okay, right, so that's all the items from public forum. Action list.
The official, the extra late project, late.
Oh, sorry, yes, good point. Late items. Okay, so one was regarding the request you would have seen come through from RDA. Just wanted board's feelings on writing a letter of support for their funding application because they are not eligible to do funding through us at the moment. But this is for about 4 staff members, I think. So this is, they have had a letter of support from Motueka Community Store and one other, can't quite remember. And they were requesting the Motueka Community Board also provide one. I wasn't too sure if that's something we did, but I do recall we did that for Hui Rugby Club.
I'm happy to say that I'm happy that you value the support.
Yeah.
I'm not a horse fan at all, but I absolutely value the work they do.
Yeah. And so it's just if anyone's opposed, let me know. I think we're all good with that. And the other item was, so just in the last week or so, been having conversations, trying to get a roundtable with some of the ministers. And this is around the conversations that we've had around the board. So the homelessness and the housing crisis that our residents, or Motueka and nationwide feeling, and also as I'm on the Motueka High School board as well, there's a lot of issues with youth engagement and attendance. So this is something that will be a closed meeting. I was trying to get an open one, but it will be a closed one. So it's to get the right people around the table, having conversation around those issues with the aim to come out with some solutions. And just having them so they can hear, because a lot of work obviously is already underway. So, you know, we might miss the boat on some things, but if we're persistent in getting the message across about what is actually affecting our communities, and this is a great opportunity for us to get that across. So I will share more details with the board as I build them, because this has just sort of come about in a flurry and I'd really like to run with it. So guess I'm just saying, if you're interested to be part of the initiative and organising that, let me know after the meeting. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to actions. So page 83. So this is, I think we're rubbish bins again. I've got, did you want to come up, Tony, just in case there's anything in here It's a film. So it's a dirty old rubbish bin, but they're getting films designed. Yeah, it's like a sticker. No, it's a wrap. It's a glad, yeah,
Okay.
and it's got designs on it. So councillor Walker's been trying to get this over the line for a while. Thank you, Lee. So yeah, just any update from that, because I know
I had a lengthy conversation with Lynn Hall today. To
Okay,
find out
great.
exactly where we are at. So we now have a price for the said wrap, which is not a complete rubbish bin wrap. It's a part, because the bins have got perforated bits to breathe.
Yeah.
So the quote came for the wrap to cover the entire bin.
Yeah.
Which we do not believe is the right thing to do, because they're going to get tatty and break and torn. So we're going to do part wrap of the body and a circular diameter on the top. So we finally got a price. It's only taken since 2019. I get that.
Don't worry.
Anyway, so I'm taking it back to the Youth Council. So Motueka Youth Council is a meeting on the 22nd. However, they've got a set task to do that day. So it may be a fortnight after that, which Lynn is aware of. We are going to propose through the Youth Council that they come up with the artwork, because at the minute it's a bold, plain colour like yellow or green. So the youth are keen to come on board to do some artistic design, and then we will look at potentially 3 out of the 6 bins at Thorpe Street, see how they go, potentially do all 6, with the idea that this actually could morph right through all of the bins within our community if we target it, but she's not here to listen, as a special project. There are currently a few coloured bin liners sitting here, and I believe Hickmont Street waiting, but we don't want to put the fancy bin liner in until we've got the rest of the bin design. So there will be a wow factor to it, and it will come to part from all the work that the Youth Council started to upgrade that said playground and to get it to where it was before we had the little glitch in the material, some of the equipment moved. But this is the final piece for the Youth Council on that playground before we get them moved into the new playground this way. Thank you. That's been really hard to get to. I tell you. Councillor Dallafus and Councillor Maru.
How many quotes did you get?
You need to go back to Lynn Hall and ask that, because that was beyond the scope of what the councillors and the youth councillors and myself were doing. I presume potentially just the one from our local person.
We do have 2.
I am aware of that. I wouldn't be brave enough to go back and start poking that bear after how many years has it taken, but you know, feel free. Oh, I can feel the scab.
I don't know why, but you just prodded by memory. So will we get youth councillors back at the table?
That's the plan. So we've just interviewed another youth councillor, and we've got our numbers back up to a level whereby we probably have one around this table now.
Cool.
Which we will discuss not on the 22nd, but the following fortnight. It's a big commitment fortnightly, Councillor Walker. For both Waimea and Motueka, just quietly.
So you're
think of the money. What? No.
Small violin for you.
Oh, the small violin.
You're so you're the rep on both youth councils.
I am. Well, actually, I have a shared portfolio which covers Murchison, Motueka, Golden Bay, Waimea. I share it with another councillor who's really good at doing flips and slides, but not cartwheels on the
skateboard. Nice. New shows. Okay, thank you so much for that update. Now the second item on their workshop. So this came about December. Now I believe it was around amendment to some of our standing orders to allow for presentations of 10 minutes, because we only have 5 minutes slots for public forum. So we just need to find a date to sit down and go through those things. But I recommend in your spare time, go through the standing orders and identify anything that you like to propose amendments to, so we're prepared for the workshop. Yes, Board Member Hughes.
Well, with the 10-minute thing, I remember coming across that a long time ago. to enable me to try and talk for longer at the public forum, but I got told 5 minutes is plenty of time for you, Mr. Hughes.
But we've had some very good PowerPoint presentations. If you recall, Seb's last year around the climate stuff was very good. So it's more allowing people more time for that. Yes, Councillor.
So just for clarification, that will be around public forum, 5 minutes for individuals, 10 minutes for groups, because the 10-minute presentation is there. Different style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For organisations, yeah. Okay, so page 84. Okay, so the matters raised by Mr. Hallier at November's public meeting, and then we discussed it at the last meeting. The outcome is in the chair's report. So on behalf of the board, we have acknowledged and put forward an apology for how that has come about. Staff have also put a statement of correction, which I will forward to the gentleman. And so that item is now closed and move off our actions. Now, sorry, Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for the work that you've done with us.
Thank you for thanking me. Motueka aerodrome noise complaints. Now, Councillor Dowler, I think this is the one that you are going to come back again. Come back to the board with costs. Oh, so there's obviously a lot of input from community residents to the aerodrome, but then you had also noted there was also costs to.
Yep.
Yeah, so you wanted to comment on that?
Sent an email to one of our staff members who I went up to see today, which wasn't there, and I haven't had a reply.
Okay. So we'll just hold that one until next meeting.
Don't mind, please.
Yep. So the next one, that is, yep, that's all go for Mail June, so we'll hear that later. Now, it's just strange. Tables on the Middle side of the Motueka Bridge. So thank you for going back in the background and trying to sort that out. So this is around the fixing, the maintenance of things from special projects, and then also the identifying who's responsible for the mowing and et cetera around the table so people can enjoy it.
It's just deal with parks and
Don't repeat our conversation.
Right.
Yep, no. Let's say anymore.
Okay. And then seating plans, we did give an update on that. This was around liaising with Mr. Kemp around, because he's the visualizer of seating plans. Is that
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor Walker gave me the contact. Tomorrow, sorry, my computer died, so I would have it up in front of me. So
It's okay.
On Thursday, I am going with Steve, if this is the same item, Steve Richards, to the men's shed to have a look at those tables the model that I brought, which he is going to consider putting in the landscape plan here, and of course over in Dex Reserve. So we're just going to ask them to give us a quote for how much they might be.
Yeah. I think your updates just haven't come through on this.
Because I did give,
Yeah, you did send quite a.
Yeah, I sent, but mindful of trying to give the updates prior to this meeting. So what's the next one? Sorry, is that?
I think that's all out of the actions, and then we'll look at the special project ones. So the next one, the submission to the long-term plan, that is closed, so that can be removed off our actions. And then correspondence. That can be closed. I've got chair met with Mr. Manners and Mr. Townsend to view email thread. So that last one can be closed. I have viewed that. So, and I will speak directly with board member Hughes. Now, I feel like I'm going That one's, no? Have I missed anything, anyone? No, that's it. Okay. All right, moving on to financial report. So I move that the board receives the financial summary report. Seconded by board member Hughes.
Just one clarification, if you highlighted yourself, Chair,
Yes.
about some money that didn't show that was in that discretionary fund.
Yes. Oh, yeah, so, okay, sorry, do you want to discuss that
To
first?
accept that report without
Yes.
that being.
So I had a conversation, so we're looking at the discretionary expenditure on page 88. I questioned why RDA was listed twice, because obviously it's only in one financial year. The date for that first one is in August, so we believe it was paid in the new financial year, but passed in the year before.
Oh, that wasn't my query. Mine was the wharf, the old wharf.
Oh, so that is going to be showing on the, because that just went through on the 3rd of April. So after the ledger was done, so it will show in the next report.
Yeah, that's right. So there's 3 bits always on the.
So it managed to capture the big brothers.
Yeah.
Because they must have come up through it first, but the historical wharf restoration from K&B didn't come in until after they'd run this report.
But they have received them.
They have got it for the, yeah, that's come through on the 3rd of April. So it will show in our next report.
Right.
Yes, thanks for
clarifying.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I guess while we're just here, because I did ask some other questions, because we had spoken about it, community board expenses and stuff at previous meeting. And so I did get an itemized account just to go through some things, and just for your own information, there is a split levy between us and Golden Bay, where we pay $275 each from the community boards towards LGNZ. So it's a levy for, I guess, a half share between the two boards.
Question.
Reimbursements, you're saying?
So that's part of community board expenses. Yeah, it's under, because those are detailed out. It's got community board executive committee levy. The reason why I question it is because I was wondering if we have any contribution towards secretary support. And no, it's not. It's a levy for LGNZ.
So through the kids, yes.
Yeah.
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 Which you put a paper on. This report.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll move the financial report. Seconded by board member Hughes. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Anyone again? Carried. Okay, special projects action list. Right. Page 90. Now, just quickly before we go through this, I have had a meeting with Elaine just to try and tidy up how these look, because I personally find it quite confusing. So the next meetings, special projects will still have the content, but it will just look slightly different. So hopefully it's easier to follow. So the first one on here is the Thoughtbush Playground, but that's on hold. The second one is
Except the bins.
Except bins.
That was part of that project.
Accessible playground at Dex Reserve. So this is where all your commentaries come in. So
yes.
So do you want to speak to any of that?
So that should be a comment about
contingency.
Yeah.
Yeah. cover the variations.
If there was any variations or,
Okay.
yeah. So that was a comment around the $35,000 that the community board allocated to the chair to allocate if required. And I was asked to provide some feedback on how and when we might know. And that was a comment from Joe Bywater around when we might know. And give you an update. We expect to have some information this Friday, possibly early next week, around how much things really might be costing, through the proper procurement process. So as early as next week, we could have an idea about, how much money we are going to need, or if we do have enough money. So there might be an opportunity, or there could be an opportunity where we have to look at the project and scale it, change it in terms of maybe different types of, areas of pour and play. So until then, we won't know. However, what I want to suggest is there an opportunity for members of the community board to kind of be part of a project advisory team where we can look at what money we are going to need by how much has come in, and then decide on some scope changes. That might be a bit too much to ask, considering how much the community board's contributed, but it might shorten down the time and delivery. So, there could be a suggestion of 3 community board members, and I would suggest we've got a project sponsor already. Claire's, obviously really involved in projects, and yourself, I was going to suggest. So I don't know. It's something you can consider. It just might mean that we can have a meeting next week and say these are the options, and it just might move into the next phase of when we meet with the community board, we can say, here's some of the decisions we've made collectively. Just might shorten the time down and delivery, that's all.
Yeah. What do you have with that suggestion?
I was thinking about this when we were talking about.
Okay, I'll
Let's just have 2 weekly meetings. That was my project.
That sounds like a good proposal. Okay, number 3.
We're signing off on those 3. Sorry, Chair.
Yep. So, Councillor Walker, Deputy Chair Hart, and myself liaise with directly around.
Oh, may the force be with us.
I wanted to communicate with you guys and try to have it more set up a streamlined process around it.
Sounds good.
Can I just ask, are you expecting those 3 to make some comments around additional funding and the like? Is that what you're?
No, it's more
just a liaison thing.
It's sort of liaison, but also if we have to change and make some changes to the scope in terms of the delivery, it wouldn't be any financial decisions, but that would help with quicking, making a fast track to making those financial decisions.
Yeah.
Clarify that. Good.
Yep.
Your expectations are right.
Yep. Okay, number 3, we don't actually have an overseer against the Maraho Sandy Bay Association. That seems to have dropped off, is it you? Okay, so we need to put. So we'll just make a note, Hayley, to add Councillor Walker as the overseer for that. That fell off. Sandy Bay Association. Oh, okay, so that's what we needed for. I've called it number 4. So this is the Motueka Cemetery Maintenance Plan and Enhancement. Now, we mentioned last time Mr. Ogilvie met with staff with the aim to update lists and complete majority of the works. We'll get some of those works underway by July 31st, but I'm actually not too. Do you know anything?
So through the chair, I understand Lynn and Steve had met with you, David?
Yeah.
And I know there's a plan forward.
Good. Working well? Good. Okay. Number 5. this one? Saltwater baths and landscaping improvements. Sunderland Hall, we don't actually have a board member attached to it. I've just got the last one, which was in February. Yeah, I haven't had any feedback, so do we mind just making a note to connect with Lynn, please? And number 6, decks, change decks reserve, grand state tables plus seating. Oh, we just spoke about that, yeah?
Oh, yes, that was involvement with the community board or anybody really on the board. When we start to get into the delivery of the project, we got. I was told to.
Don't lie. You said pay the cable, see, we should have hooked on to that free
Alright.
solar thing.
Some batteries.
It's getting dark in here. Sorry, Tony. What were you saying? Hayley's on it. Regarding delivery.
Oh, delivery closer to construction.
Oh, okay.
And placement of seats and things like that. I mean, there are only certain places we can put seats, but yeah, I mean, you know, once we understand that financial commitment, we'll work closely.
Lovely, thank you. Number 7, Travis Street Esplanade, complete walk cycle path, southern end and North Street, Saltwood Baths. Now that is Sunderland Hall as well, so I don't.
Alice, I think we're doing some of that.
Yeah,
she's
they're
not
doing,
responded to that either.
no, doing part of that, so just to follow up.
I will take on both of those projects and make sure you're updated.
So can we put your name as Sunderland's?
No.
No.
Bad idea.
For a number of reasons.
Okay.
I'll chase it up nicely.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Kirby's got you.
Were there any questions from the board for Tony or around our special projects? Councillor Murray?
Keep it up. What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, go to the LTP meetings.
Fun.
So through the chair, let me just tell you a little story. I rang Mr. Strange last Friday from an office with a little 6-year-old who wanted to know when my slide will be fixed.
When my
And
what?
when will my slide be fixed?
Oh,
And thank you. So Tony was great. It looks like we're going to get that fixed.
Yeah. I was on speakerphone too.
Yeah, but he was answering a nice future. No, don't. He doesn't need a pizza. Thank you for that.
So
He's got a new friend.
I'll let you know when we can take Maddie to this.
It was awesome. Maddie appreciates it. It was cute. I might do that.
It was
Yeah.
cute. I
Yeah,
told the team about it.
put your Sam voice on. Thank you, Tony, and like always, we really appreciate you coming along and speaking to things. So I'm just going to move to special projects. Anyone second? We'll have board member Armstrong second because you've seconded everything. Fantastic. Everyone agree? Everyone again? No, carried. So I moved that and Armstrong.
I was going to say, becoming the Graham Hughes show.
Shit done show. All right. I think that is us and we, sorry. Oh, sorry, Councillor Della.
One thing that you guys might not be aware of, Mr. Manners was here earlier today,
Yeah.
and he has a new role coming up.
Oh, yes. Does everyone know that?
CEO.
CEO.
Chief Operating Officer. Yes, and I'm not sure when that takes effect.
Monday.
Oh, Monday. Yeah. Got ahead of.
22nd.
22nd. Thanks, Tony. See ya.
And roles becoming free, the computer section. I'd like to put my name forward.
Be in the paper.
I'm sure,
Oh, yeah. I guess I've got one for you, and that's, board members are well aware about Thursday's workshop.
yes, so 11:30 at council for the 8-week TRMP. Yeah,
11:30.
11:30.
Yeah.
Can't be much happening in strategy and policy, that's sure.
So, okay, so, thank you, everyone. Thanks for getting through the meeting. Thank you for our guests for attending. It's all right. Any time, just let me know. We'll make sure we can arrange our tables better. So we will close with karakia. You're welcome to join in. Ko mutu a mātou mahi, mō tēnei wā, mana ki tia mai, mātou katoa, mātou hoa, o mātou whānau, ai o ki te aorangi. Our work is finished for the moment. Blessing to us all, our friends, our families. Peace to the universe. Thank you, everybody. Okay.